How's it going, guys? I didn't really want to add all this to the end of that ZIKZ review in the end, because it would have made the thing like 40-50 minutes long. So yeah, in the end I've been doing a lot of messing around tonight. I've also been wanting to do the Hummer update. Some of you guys like that and want to know what's going on with them, so yeah, that's why I just did this separate video, really. This was basically when I was travelling to the quarry. I actually just brought the Tayga with me because I already had a feeling of what might happen with this truck. This was when I was going through here and I was testing like what's better, low range or auto. In this very particular situation it looks like low range with the diffs on is better, but then when I get out the other side I put it in auto and it's still pretty punchy. But anyway, in my own head right now while I was playing this, I was reasoning with myself that even if I saved a bit of time by having a low range and I had high-low there, I could save that time back by just sticking it in high range now I'm out of the water. And then yeah, 2 seconds later it's like, oh shit boys, hang on, because someone just tried to shave some seconds off and it's gone horribly wrong. Some of you eagle-eyed viewers might notice in the ZIKZ video that, yeah, there was a Tayga in the background rolled as well. And this is how I ended up in that situation. The thing I love about the Tayga, I don't even slow down here, stick a winch on the telegraph pole and send it, and it's all good. I do push my luck with this Tayga. I really I don't know what this thing's limits are, but it does some serious stuff. In that Rift gameplay where I was smashing it down that hill, this thing ate the Rift map for breakfast. So I had to flip the this thing over. I don't know why they go see-through, but it did. Well, I actually sort of do. It's if they're clipping into each other. I think it's the game's way of making it less risky of glitching or like pinging out of each other. Nice little delicate throttle control. Nailed it. Yeah, that like Tayga's so juicy. I just gave it one little tap of reverse and it about roped the thing off. So anyway, jump back in this thing, tried to get the trailer, and we'll see how that went. So yeah, that's how well that went. So right, jump back in the Tayga, got the trailer down, squeezed my way through this little gap. And I'm going to rescue the ZIKZ, but I wanted to give the ZIKZ another go at rescuing the trailer. So I was like, I'll leave the trailer for a second, just readjusting myself because I slipped a bit far down there. Oh my god, even the Tayga has gone now. And as I was still trying to get like footage from our review, I basically jumped in the ZIKZ and recovered it to Zimnegorsk, brought another trailer back, which is what you should see in the review, which this was the second attempt where she flipped over. And at this point, I still didn't rescue the Tayga, so there's only one thing left to do. I recovered this, but I'm bringing a goddamn loaf with me, because when you need things done, you bring a loaf. And to be honest, this now, ragging this thing behind me, just reminded me of a funny story that me and my brother happened to us years ago. Basically, I owned a Peugeot 406, or we did, and the fuel light just always was on, even when you had like a third tank of fuel, so we ignored it. Long story short, we were driving home one day, we even just passed a petrol station and said, oh, do we need fuel? We didn't bother, and then the thing ran out of fuel. Not spluttered for a bit, it was just like driving and then bang, no fuel. And this was on a dual carriageway as well. Right, we lived pretty close by, but it was about another couple of minutes drive home. But our house was actually quite close. If you did the horn, you might just be able to hear it. Anyway, so long story short, my brother and my mate start setting off back to the petrol station. But for some reason, he locked the car, and there was a dog inside, and he took the keys. And because I'm on a dual carriageway, I just want to point out, the safest place for the dog at this point was in the car. It was still daylight, the hazards were on, and I was stood in front of the car, and it was all good. However, half an hour or so later, the battery, it turns out, was crap on this car, which this is how we found out. The hazards started dimming and going off, and then it started getting dark as well, so I looked for a rock because I was going to break the window to get the dog out, but I couldn't find a rock because it's dual carriageway. Obviously they've all cleaned everything like that away. So I start standing in front of the car flagging at traffic like a madman because I don't want anyone to hit the car. I'm not asked about the car, it's the dog. Like, Hugo, coolest dog ever. And one of the first cars that come around the corner was, no joke, a police car. And the guy wasn't paying attention because he obviously didn't see me waving my arms. And at the last second, I honestly thought, oh shit, he's going to hit this car. he slammed the brakes on and swerved out the way of the car. So obviously I was like, oh no, check ain't got an AK-47 on me or something, because he's definitely getting out. And then he pops it in a lower gear and starts driving off, and I was like, what the hell? To be fair, he obviously probably radioed it in, because a few minutes later my brother and my mate turn up with fuel, put it in the car. The battery's flat though, so the fuel pump won't drag anything through. Then this police woman turns up, bless her, and we basically say, can we just hook a tow rope to your police car just to get us like 200 yards away? There's a slip road where it's safer. And she was like, no, can't do that, police policy, blah blah blah. But she said, what I will do is I'll help you push the car. And all I'll say at this point is I look more athletic than I am, clearly, from this, because I started pushing the car, and honestly, after about 50 yards, I wasn't leaning into the car to push it. I was fucking leaning on it, breathing for dear life, trying to catch my breath. I'm asthmatic as well, it doesn't help. But I gave up pushing, like I say, I was leaning on it. My brother didn't look that far behind, if I'm honest, so this policewoman, bless her, was pushing this car by herself up this dual carriageway while I was just pretending, because I was about dead. And we eventually got to the slip road, and then she basically said, yeah, get a tow truck, and we were like, yeah, okay, just waiting for her to go, because to be honest, we had another car, Beamer 525 E34, but it didn't have insurance, so when she left, my brother quickly got the car. He was in a bad mood at this point, and he has a bad habit, or he used to, of when he's in an arse, it's just not good. So he came back in a bad mood with a Beamer, flicked it round the dual carriageway roundabout, came back up the road. We already had a tow rope, so we hooked that on, but because he's in a bad mood, he's rushing, and he's got no insurance, that's why as well. He was like, right, when I start towing you, just let it start rolling, let the clutch out, so the alternator at least is spinning, so I'll get some brake lights and stuff, because it's now about almost night time now. It's winter, so it's still pretty early, but it's yeah, it's getting pretty damn dark. But what he didn't do was have a nice easy pull off up to 10-20 mile an hour. He just absolutely gunned the Beamer. Me and my mate shot off in the Peugeot, like 0 to, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, flying up. At about 60 mile an hour, I was looking at my mate like, well, I'm going to have to pull the clutch out. I pulled the clutch out, and it made a noise that I've never heard before, but it was like, really, really loud. I mean, this is not Hoover loud, this was like, you just started up a bloody nuclear power station turbine loud. So I put the clutch back in, I looked at my mate, I was like, well, that didn't sound good, did it? And I'm not trying to make excuses here, I don't care if I broke it, I find this funny, but I looked at my mate and I was like, right, that's second gear, that's fourth gear. I did that a couple of times, so I definitely had it in fourth gear. Anyway, thought, right, best let the clutch out again, because I need some brake lights. I'm on a dual carriageway being towed at 60 mile an hour by my brother, who's pissed off. I let the clutch out. Again, what followed was that noise, followed by the loudest explosion I've ever heard, the loudest anything I've ever heard in my life. It just went, and I mean it echoed across like the county, never mind just where I was. And I looked at my mate again like, well, probably best put the clutch back in, because that did not sound good. Yeah, forget brake lights. This has all gone very wrong. My brother's now like, we're going about 70 mile an hour. We got to the next slip road, we could turn off the dual carriageway then, which was good, so we were going back home. And by the way, in the background, what you're seeing is the loaf being a hero as usual. So yeah, we tow it back home, pull up on the driveway, pop the bonnet, and a big chunk of the manifold was missing, the intake manifold, and it was plastic, not metal. And I know what some of you are thinking, oh, you've blown the manifold off or something. Well, no. What it had done is inhaled the manifold, and when I say inhaled the manifold, I mean it breathed the bastard in and ate it. Like, basically, what happened was, which my dad has since told me, because he's a mechanic and that, when I let the clutch out, when I'm going about 60, 70 mile an hour, and there was no fuel pump to put, like, anything, the car basically tried to go from 0 to 60 in about 1/10 of a second, or the engine did, and hence the ring noise. But then, yeah, in that 1/10 of a second, it tried to inhale so much air through the engine that it didn't have time to go through the air filter, and just inhaled the entire manifold into the engine, which was probably that loud explosion noise I heard. And yeah, so we got a new manifold, luckily, because Citroen and Peugeot interchangeable manifold, so it now has a Citroen badge on the manifold. But we sorted that out. Tried to charge the bloody battery. Within half an hour, the battery was spraying acid all over the bonnet and everywhere. This, I'll never ever get a Peugeot again. I'm telling you, that thing was just, everything about it was a pain in the ass. And in the end, we sold it to my oldest brother. He knew about it. He knew the issues. We sold it very cheap, but yeah, my oldest brother, that boy, he loves buying and selling cars. Anything. He's bought loads of cars. I bought an old E34 535 off us. Even bought my M5 off me. All you have to do is ring him up. It's like, do you want to buy a car? He's like, yeah. He doesn't even have to know what it is. So yeah, that was just what happened. My advice is, if you're ever towing a car and you need to let the clutch out, don't do it at 60 to 70 mile an hour, because you might inhale half of the engine. That would be my advice. And my other advice would probably be, don't buy a Peugeot, if I'm honest, because, yeah, that was not a good time with that car. So anyway, as I just fill a footage in the background, as you've probably been watching, yeah, the loaf, doing loaf things, rescuing everything, rescued the Taiga, rescued the trailer, and then I'm back to my review. Obviously it tipped over down the hill, the little loaf, rescues it again. Tried to jump back in the ZIKZ thing. Just checking I wasn't blocking the way. This thing tips straight over. Again, I don't really like that they go all invisible. I mean, look at the pulling power of this. If you didn't see it, it just flung that concrete block about 50 foot in the air, because it's such a horse of a vehicle. The sheer muscle when it started to pull the ZIKZ. Just, yeah, that concrete block couldn't handle it. Tried again just to reverse and connect the trailer. This thing was, yeah, don't try and reverse on angles down hills. It went again. This is what, like the 6th or 7th time this thing's had to rescue it just in the quarry alone. So yeah, well, I'll keep tugging on the trailer until it stays where it's supposed to. Rescue this thing again. Like I say, they go invisible when they're clipping on each other, and I think it's when you go away, like if you come back, they don't spring out of each other's area. Sounds a bit odd, but you know what I mean. It's like when they're actually leaning on each other. I think that's just the game's way of making it less glitchy and risky. But yeah, as you can see, I had to rescue that thing I don't know how many times. Luckily, in the end, I've learnt this from many hours of experience of rolling over, but when I started up, I just gunned it straight forward into them concrete blocks, and that was enough to stop me rolling. So, attach the trailer, and this was probably now the point you've seen in the original review video, where as soon as I'm driving up, I was about to go, stuck a winch on the cairn. I mean, look at the thing. It just never ever stops rescuing me again and again and again. It makes my review videos, that little thing, that and the Taiga, are the background vehicles that make all these videos possible in 10 to 15 hours, not 50 hours. I mean, look at it. I told you it was self-driving. I'm not even in it, and look, it's doing opposite lock of its own. The thing is a little crackpot. Get yourself a loaf, horse of a vehicle. So anyway, at this point, I was now heading back to the cliffs. By the way, if you put the handbrake on, it straightens it out very nicely in this. In some it doesn't, but in this it definitely does. But obviously this is the usual issue that you see when I go down here with almost any vehicle when I'm just trying to do my drown in water test, basically. Getting down here with a nice engine, like I've already hit the engine now, that's it, it's not a brand new engine, and I always end up, or a lot of the time, on my roof. Here comes this beast as usual. If you remember as well, yesterday in the Voron video, if you've seen that, I didn't actually make it down twice in a row. If I wasn't able to winch to whatever was hiding in them rocks, I would have tipped the Voron the second time. Whereas this thing, I'm going to cut little bits out because it didn't take like 10 seconds, but I got to this point, which obviously I've not rolled, it's just because I hit this thing. It is actually pushing it out the way, and I was using the winch to twist myself round. And it didn't take me long. I've not edited lots out here, but it was just, there's no point in leaving like 2 minutes of me just trying to jiggle this out. But as you can see, the little loaf ain't giving up. It's pushing the whole truck out of the way. And in the end, I attached a winch to the back of my cairn and the back of that, which pulled my arse around sideways, and I'm down on my wheels. And I actually, like I say, this is like, and the engine's even damaged because I took a few hits on the way down. Doesn't actually happen very often at all with the loaf, but this time it has. However, even with a damaged engine, it was pushed that out the way. This, to be fair, this ZIKZ thing is a piece of piss to flip over compared to a lot of things. It really doesn't weigh a lot at all. Now you see where that watchtower is in the distance? I'm going to start driving towards that way. You might not want to see this, but I just thought, like, this is how I got to the other island. Again, I'm not going to leave it all in or anything like that, but if you come a bit further down the beach, there's the island on my left, and there's the watchtower. That's about how far away I am. If you look underwater, you can see at the minute I'm driving on a dark patch, and you can see that big white patch in the water. I'm heading towards that little snow island that's poking out. If you drive down to the right of that white patch, which you'll be able to see when you're there, you basically, the water doesn't quite go deep enough, but some trucks you can actually get over to the island, and this is one of them, because this is like amazing in water. The snorkels are so tall, it takes very little damage. I put it in a low with the diffs on. That's definitely for deep water driving. That does beat auto. With this truck and obviously others, it's an engageable diff, so I can only have the diff in low. So yeah, if you want to head to the island, a low range gearbox for this, now I know I may well use to come back. But importantly, that bit it just went through, it got a bit deep. That's why I went from low to auto, because I was like, okay, I don't need slow and steady now, I need get the hell out of the water. But it only took a tiny bit of damage. The ANK took a lot more damage than that. And then the next bit, I tried to blow a few fish up, just, you know, let them know, Ray Winston style, like, this is mine now. I'm the daddy. But anyway, this is where you want to aim. Now, if you look at the patch, there's another dark patch, and I'm driving down the middle where there's white snow banks either side underwater. And because the turning's so good on this, I was about to hit these rocks, but last second, swinged it round to the right. You want to avoid them rocks, because if you get caught in deep water on them, they can be hard to get off. But yeah, after that, drive onto this last little island you can just about see, and then turn yourself towards this main island with those rocks to your left. And again, I think the ANK took some damage here when I originally got over to this island, whereas this thing, just because those snorkels are so tall, even though it's not the biggest vehicle, it made it over here with, as you've seen, it took a little bit of damage getting to that first island. And now I could easily squeeze through them trees, but I've had to come round here with stuff like the P16 because I couldn't fit through them trees. So I just wanted to try. A lot of vehicles would tap out now, as you can see, even the roof's underwater. It's only the actual snorkels themselves. I just wanted to see for my own benefit, really. Yeah, it wasn't supposed to make it into the video, but this thing is bloody brilliant in water. One of the best trucks I've had in water, to be honest. I was talking to a guy earlier, and he was saying as well, I can't wait like for a proper water-based map. It'd be pretty cool. This is now got smaller wheels and the lowered, like the normal suspension, and it smashes itself up trying to get down there, and then it catches its nose on the floor. And this is what I get as well in a lot of my truck reviews, and I now can't winch to anything. Any trees that are in the cliffs, it'll just break. So again, I'd have to bring another rescue vehicle, and then that might fall. Whereas that loaf was still down there from the last time I rescued this thing, and that I was able to drag my nose off. But as you can see now, with the small tyres and the suspension, it just rocks. It struggles too much. Everything is now just too big for it, and it's like it's worth the sacrifice of jiggly suspension to have the taller suspension and bigger tyres. Again, the loaf doing loafy things, as per usual. Now, some of you obviously want to know what's happening with the Hummers. I've been trying to do a Hummer update, but the videos have just been pretty damn long. So this one, exactly the same place as last time you've seen it. I've been keeping an eye on it every day, but when I go in it, I can look out the window, I can see the sunset and that, I can see a tree in the back of the Hummer. It's been sat like this for days. Like last time you seen it, it was the one doing its best Lionel Richie impression, but now it's just been chilling in the rocks. It's yeah, easy like a Sunday morning. This one, well, it looks like it's fine, so you might be wondering though how it managed to get in such a smashed up and lowered state. Well, what happened was, officer, I came back to test it out. Now, I'm going to blame this on the fact that the update had happened, the Rift update, and I wanted to see if they'd fixed the Hummer glitch. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. So, first couple of jumps off the cliff, I was like, fair enough, it's not doing it actually. But like all good scientists, you repeat your experiments. Hit here, and I was like, oh, you beast. Oh, I got away with it that time. Oh. And we're off again. I mean, it goes like digging a mine shaft, throwing rocks around, starts flying around the air. I mean, yeah, not good. Even the driver you can see flying out all over the place. Moral of the story is, don't put a 10 amp fuse in a 5 amp slot. Very bad things can happen. Just attacked an innocent fish for no reason. Now, I came prepared, to be honest. I was cooking my dinner again at the time. I was prepared for such an event. So I was ready to ride it out longer than it was prepared to fly around. But I edited some stuff out. Suddenly, goes bang and it's in the ground. Pops out. It was sort of white when it went in. Now it's caked in mud. Doing, I don't know, doing the Macarena or something. But it's not done yet. It wants to take flight again. Oh, it's back. Bit more dancing. Bit like 1950s jazz or something that time. And it's off. Obviously I'm going to cut some of this out because it did go for a good 5 or 10 minutes. But it basically just kept doing this. Slamming itself into the mountain and flying back up in the air. Ensuring every single part of it was fully damaged. As you can see, I cut ahead. It's now night time. I stuck it out. But eventually it slammed into the mountain, jiggling around like mad. And then it just started relaxed. Little twirl. I appreciate it. Appreciate a strong finish. That's what she said. Carried on rolling down the hill. Looks like a little turtle when it's got its suspension up. And yeah, that's where it landed. Pretty damn ruined, but it's the Hummer. It's not stuck in the cliff. And again, it's not moved for days. So, I tried to come and rescue it with this. This is better in snow when it has the raised suspension. This is with the little tyres. So it does do better. So I started winching the Hummer down. So this is why I just left random stuff in, like this. Does everyone agree or have noticed that trees snap easier? Like, look at this one now. It barely even tilts before it snaps. So I can't get a good grip on anything because they all keep breaking. So what do I have to send in the bloody horse of a vehicle? Even with a damaged engine, it goes up the snow, reverses in the snow, pulls this Hummer that's completely ruined and has no engine. Drags it along the beach on its own, get it up this steep hill. I had to use a few tricks of the trade, but wedged it behind a tree. Wedged it sideways behind the next tree and kept manoeuvring it up. And I mean, this hill, look at it, it's no joke of a hill. It's next to the airport. It's a way some vehicles can't even get up by themselves. I mean, it's bloody steep. This thing just starts walking up. I'm bringing the Hummer. Now it doesn't start pulling me back towards the Hummer just because I've got this little rock to sit on. It's dragging. Like I say, the Hummer's got no fuel, no engine or anything, so this is pure loaf muscle now. Yeah, I just keep driving further up, winching it up. And I mean, look at it. Now I've only got the handbrake on. I'm not even accelerating forward or anything, and it's still not dragging me backwards. It's pulling this thing up. You might be saying, like, why the hell am I even bothering doing this? I could have just recovered the Hummer. I wanted to see what it looked like on the runway with a damaged lowered suspension. It's also obviously partly for fun. That's what I love so much about this loaf. For an 11 grand vehicle that's like 30 or 40 grand fully upgraded, it constantly does more than it should. It's always like impressing me more than something like this should. So anyway, that's what the Hummer looks like when it's lowered. I think it looks pretty cool, to be honest. I've got 3 Hummers now because they all keep flying around and diving in cliffs and stuff, so I might keep that one as a lowered one. But yeah, I mean, again, look at the little loaf. Pulling it along like it's nothing. I've only got mud tyres on as well, and this is a black ice runway. Even the Tiger starts wheel spinning when it tries to tow some trucks along here. But yeah, this thing, little horse of a vehicle, like I say, for an 11 grand vehicle, it's a bargain. It's the most fun vehicle, and it just saves my ass so much in all these videos because it's always able to rescue everything without multiple return to garage attempts. So anyway, that's it for today. Like I said, there's nothing really too crazy. It was just a mad little messing around video. I felt in the mood to do it. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon.